Alright, we're calling this one Weird Ways to Win at Balatro. Let's start simple. Let's talk about Jokerless. Jokerless as in the Jokerless Challenge. The game comes preloaded with 20 different challenges. Jokerless Challenge, that's the last one. That's challenge number 20. Jokerless meaning there's no jokers in the shop. Important thing to point out here, if there's no jokers in the shop, there still has to be something else in the shop. So you see about 4 times as many tarot cards as you normally would. Also, all of the preloaded challenges, all of these use the white stake rules. There are 22 different tarot cards, there are only 9 different planet cards, not counting the secret hands that you have to unlock. So the result is the shops are fairly repetitive. It's a fairly consistent experience, consistent to the point where you could probably win 3 or 4 in a row if you wanted. The way that I found to do this is to play straights because of how powerful the Saturn planet cards are. But because we are using the white stake rules, the white stake scoring requirements are low enough, you could still win with high card if you wanted. And just because you don't need to score very high doesn't mean you can't still get a big number if you want. You can still get polychrome cards, glass cards, red seals to retrigger all of those X multifacts. The world record, by the way, 71 billion points. This is without endless mode. If you went into endless mode, you have a little bit more time. You could do a little bit more deck building. This is one steel card away from being E11. One problem with the Jokerless challenge, if there's no Jokers, there's way less variety. So if you really want to spice things up, you could try doing Jokerless runs on the non-challenge decks, just the normal decks. Like the checker deck gives you a head start on the deck building. It starts with only 2 different suits, so it makes it way easier to play flushes or higher scoring flush variants. If you play on the painted deck, normally -1 Joker slot, but if you're not using your Joker slots anyway, you get the +2 hand size for free. The plasma deck makes it easier to score points, so easier to survive, especially in the early game. If you get a pretty good seat on the erratic deck, you can start playing 4 of a kind and 5 of a kind in ante 1 in round 1. You could probably speed through it pretty quickly. And then when you're ready for a real challenge, you can play on the black deck. But at the end of the day, all of these are on the white stake difficulty. So now what you want to know, can you get a jokerless victory on the gold stake, on the highest level of difficulty at all? One way I found to do this is to play on the abandoned deck. That's the one that starts with no face cards. So it starts with only 40 cards. If you can get to 35 cards or fewer, then you get to draw your whole deck every round. And if you're drawing your whole deck every round, you always get whatever your best cards are. You can sculpt the perfect hand every round. This same strategy applies to other decks as well. So if you wanted to try to do Jokerless Gold Stake Black deck, it is possible. Basically, what it comes down to is you got to get pretty lucky spectral packs early on. You're looking for as many copies of Immolate as possible. That's the one that removes cards from your deck and then also gives you a huge ton of money to start. Alright, not everyone appreciates Jokerless as much as I do, so the next category I'm calling low percent. The idea is win Balatro by playing as little Balatro as possible. What I mean by that is when you finish a run, you get all of these stats. Stats like how many cards you've played, how many cards you've discarded. The idea is make all of these numbers as small as possible. For example, win without re-rolling. This is actually not that hard. You've probably done it before. You might have done it on accident. Also, there's different game pieces, there's different jokers that reward you for not using your discards, so it's pretty feasible to win without discarding. Sometimes you play a few extra hands as discards. At the end of the day, you need to play hands in order to score points. You need to play cards in order to score points, so you can't actually get 0 cards played, but you can get pretty close. Let's say you want to go for the least possible cards played. One way to play fewer cards is to play fewer rounds. If you skip every round, if you skip all the way to the bosses, that's only 8 rounds. Best case scenario, you only play 1 hand per round, 1 hand per boss, that's 8 hands. Also, if you get strong enough jokers, you can probably win with just high card, assuming, again, strong enough jokers. And if you can win with just high card, you can win without discarding also. Naturally, we have to ask, if we're going to skip to the first boss, how are we beating the first boss with just 1 hand? How are we winning with just high card? In Ante 1, we're looking for the Mega Arcana pack. That gives us the Judgment Tarot card. That gives us a random Joker. So if we get a strong enough Joker, we can win with just 8 cards played. 8 cards played, no discards. We actually did this twice. Once on the Plasma deck and once on the Anaglyph deck. But can we win without shopping at all? Can we win with no purchases at all? Another way that we could get jokers from the top up tag or the buffoon tag. These can't show up in ante 1, but ante 2 and further, we could get jokers this way. All of the other booster pack tags give us some value as well. The standard packs, arcana packs, celestial packs, spectral packs. The orbital tag could help us if it lands on the right hand. With access to all of these different resources, we were able to pull this off actually 3 different times. Mostly what it comes down to is starting with a strong joker, the one joker that does everything. Great candidates for this are the bull and the bootstraps. These get bigger when you have more money. If we're not doing any shopping, if we're not making any purchases, we keep stockpiling more and more money. We get more chips from the bull, more molt from the bootstraps. Probably the more entertaining of the 3 runs was using the legendary Perkeo. Perkeo can copy your consumable cards, so it can copy, for example, the Judgment Tarot card. We can spawn a random joker every round, kind of like Riffraff with extra steps. I'm calling this next category No Planets, which might not sound that spicy, but let me cook. Let's say you want to win with just chips. Just chips means we aren't able to use planet cards because those would give us molt. We could play on the plasma deck. Plasma deck that would convert some of our chips into molt. So of course you can win with just the bull, just the chips on the plasma deck. We were able to make it all the way to ante 13 with just the bull. But we can agree that this is cheating, right? So if you actually want to do a chips only challenge, you got to be able to do it on a non-plasma deck, like the black deck. I like the square joker because it gets bigger every time we play a hand. We get more and more chips. And before you ask, yes, we can do it on the gold stake as well. Gold stake with Wii Joker this time. Okay, let's say you want to win with plus molt only instead of chips only. And we're not talking about X molt, we're talking about just plus molt. This still ends up being easier because the level 1 poker hands already give you plenty of chips, so you can build just molt. The only way to make this a real challenge is to play on the plasma deck. Of course, if you have extra molt on the plasma deck, it converts your molt into chips, but it's difficult to get that much molt. The conversion rate is about 30 chips to 4 molt. We know this because of Even Steven and Odd Todd. We know this because of the Hierophant and Empress Tarot cards. But it is possible. It's possible to do the molt-only plasma deck on the gold stake, by the way. Of course, you're going to need a very powerful scaling plus molt joker. I like Shoot the Moon for this because Shoot the Moon, it gives you plus 13 molt for each queen held in hand. These held in hand effects you can re-trigger with Mime and also the Red Seal. Alright, rapid fire time. If you know what Naninf is, you could try getting Naninf on the gold stake, but once you get past Ante-8, you'll realize it's not that much different from the white stake. You get some Eternal Jokers or Perishable Jokers sometimes, but if you have enough money, you could just re-roll past them. If you want a real challenge, try getting Naninf without any blueprints or brainstorms. Of course, you can get more copies of the Scoring Jokers, the Baron and the Mime with Invisible Joker or the Showman, but you won't be able to use Blueprint to copy DNA, you won't be able to use Blueprint to copy the Burglar. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay. Something else you might not know about, someone created a mod that allows you to replay the challenges on different decks and different stakes. You can play the challenges all the way up through gold stake if you want. I called this one the Eggless Omelet. Eggless because you sell all of the eggs in round 1. 15-minute city, that could be fun to do as a speed run. Try to win gold stake in less than 15 minutes. If you don't remember this challenge, it's the one where you start with the bus and the shortcut. You also start with 2 copies of every face card, twice as many face cards. You could try winning with only face cards, keep the bus at 0 the whole time. Rich Get Richer, that's the one where your chips can't be higher than the amount of money you have. If you only have $1, that means you only have 1 chip. You can try going for a true molt-only victory. When you're playing on the dagger challenge, you're not allowed to move the dagger, so try doing it without moving any other jokers either. And if you're playing on gold stakes like me or higher stakes, don't use Eternals to block the dagger from destroying your other jokers. That's cheating. On the Blast Off challenge, you start with the Constellation Joker. That's the one that gets more and more X-Molt when you use more planets. You start with both vouchers that add extra planets to the shop. So try doing it without using any planets at all, because you'll find when you do use the planet cards, you can very easily win with just the Constellation and no other jokers. The Golden Needle charges you $1 for every discard. Try doing it without any discards. Or, if you have to use your discards, try doing it without any jokers. Jokerless Golden Needle on the gold stake. The brand poker challenge, that one starts out with a vampire. Try doing it without sucking off any enhancements. Or if you can't help yourself, try doing it with just the vampire, without any other jokers. Mad World gives you business card and pareidolia. Pareidolia makes all of your cards count as face cards. Business card gives you money for all those face cards. As we know, money is power, so you should be able to win without any other jokers. Medusa starts you off with 12 stone face cards, plus a marble joker to make more stone cards. If you wanted a challenge, you could try winning without playing any stone cards. Or if you did want to play the stone cards, you could try playing only stone cards, playing only high card. The monolith challenge is not that much different. You start with a marble joker, but you also get the obelisk. Obelisk gets bigger when you play a hand other than your most played hand. So you could try winning with only one hand type. Anyway, most of these runs are on a playlist, the Gold Stake Challenges playlist. Unfortunately, right now, YouTube is age restricting Balatro content, or at least my Balatro content. So some of these you might not be able to watch without also getting age-restricted ads, things like crypto scams and gambling apps and sexually explicit AI material. But the best way to support this channel is go watch some old videos every once in a while. Take care, everyone.